goal is to hit as many thrift stores on this side of Tokyo as possible. We're starting in the area of Ueno and starting by revisiting some shops that we hit up last year. But everything changes so quickly in Tokyo thrift shops. Like, for example, this whole section here with all this retro gaming stuff did not exist the last time that I came into this thrift shop. Even with all these amazing items, like look at all the Game Boys, we do have a little bit of a problem in the sense that Tokyo's prices for retro gaming gear have gotten really out of control. Like these Game Boy games here, you can find the same ones outside of Tokyo for like 500-600 yen. Meaning that Tokyo is great for browsing, but maybe not as much for shopping. Let's browse today. And I should mention that we have a guest today. Sherry's with us.
Hi. I've never seen a GameCube like this before.
This one is pretty, and that is 16 man. That's over $1,000
In a thrift store?
Yeah.
That's expensive. No?
It's everything though. Like even look at the prices on the Pocket Pikachus here. When you helped me shoot that unboxing Nintendo video,
Yeah.
I got one of those for like a quarter of that price.
Oh, really?
Did you play games as a kid?
Not really, but I was sneaking off to my friend's house and I played a little bit.
What system?
Game Boy. This one's almost $1,000.
Yeah, it looks like this is actually the, yep, it says Kaigai Soft Nomi. This is the North American version of the Super Nintendo. Inbox, this is the one right here, the Super Famicom, and we have like a slightly modified version here.
What is this?
That is a controller with a sticker on it. Actually, I think it's really retro and cool. But what amazes me is how expensive the inbox N64s have gotten. I bought one of these maybe like a year or so ago for about 7,000 or 8,000 yen.
I remember seeing that box in your studio. And they have the Power Glove.
This whole first floor has changed. They did not have this much gaming stuff before. I think change and overall price is going to be the theme for today though. This particular thrift store actually has 5 floors. Junk floor is always fun, and the 4th floor has something called boys' toys.
Why?
Now I do have an entire dedicated playlist of thrift stores, including this one, but that's what we've got. 2nd floor here is almost entirely dedicated to music supplies, musical instruments, and the guitars really run the gamut from super cheap ones like this one here up to ones that can be like over $2,000, like this one right here. But this floor also gives you a mix of pedals, mixers, stereo equipment, speakers, and even an entire section here just for records. Gotta love the records. Might even be able to swing by an entire record shop later today. And while this shop is incredible for instruments, like look at the electric guitar wall on its own. If you're really looking for instruments, I recommend going out to the area of Ochanomizu. The whole area is just dedicated to them. And Sherry, we are on to one of my favorite floors always, the junk floor. Do you know how the junk section works?
Not really.
So it's not necessarily junk or broken. It's just not tested and not guaranteed to work. And a lot of it will just be in bins like this. And a lot of the stuff in these bins, like this lens, it might still, here, open up the lens cap. Yeah, see, it's got a ton of dust in that lens.
Yeah, I
but
can see
otherwise, it probably works.
Interesting.
Like this Light Boy and classic Game Boy here, the left light on it doesn't work, an easy enough fix. And the Game Boy is really damaged. It turns on but doesn't play games. But really, these junk boxes always feel like treasure hunting. Like, look at this old, do you know what that is?
No, I have no idea.
That's an old film camera. And then this whole back corner here is more game software and a whole range of used appliances.
I wish I knew about this place when I was setting up my apartment.
So this floor here is where Hobby Off starts, and I always accidentally go just a little bit crazy in here because first off, it's just so visually spectacular, borderline overwhelming with all the colors and different toys and everything. And it's also always amazing how expensive old retro Godzilla stuff can be.
Yeah, they are very expensive,
Yeah.
but it's very realistic though.
Is that, as a Japanese person, is that what Godzilla really looks like?
I think so.
Just Sherry's talking about how realistic it is, as if she's actually seen Godzilla in person.
Well, it's very detailed.
Okay, It's a better word. So a huge part of this floor of the hobby off, as you can see, is all the different figures and whatnot. But one of my favorite spots in this shop is actually right in front of the cash register here. This case right here, this is where we get all the cool old retro robot stuff, the Power Rangers and whatnot. I wasn't raised in Japan, but something about it just feels like childhood. I kind of want this guy just because of the overall aesthetic.
Samurai.
In comparison to some visits, today's actually feeling kind of bare bones, but there is a section back here just for things like playing cards. You get things like the Mezasta here, or even little individual Pokemon cards that you can just pick out for 33 yen a piece. And if you're lucky, every now and then you'll find chunks, like blocks like this of Pokemon cards for incredibly reasonable prices. But again, it's been getting harder and harder to find them for reasonable prices in Tokyo. Let's go up one more floor. Okay, so we've figured out boys' toys, but the next big mystery is what is the girls' toys? But the 5th floor is the final floor of this particular shop right here, and I'm actually really surprised at how expensive Nerf is at almost 9,000 yen for that gun alone. I always get sucked into all the little trinkets and whatnot. Also, Japan's love for erasers. Those are definitely erasers. There's just kind of collector's items in Japan. Kind of in the same way that Japan has a ton of different types of towels that you can... Oh my god, that is a Krillin towel. What? And they're all 110 yen each. I know that you weren't raised with Dragon Ball, but I was, and so the Krillin towel is a towel of happiness.
Japan likes those clear files too.
Yeah, like these here, you can just like a folder that you can put your papers in. There's so many. They give them away as like free things, or at the convenience store when you've like bought enough stuff as well.
Actually, we can use those because we have to bring these to school and then we show off each other. Like, oh, look at, like, I got this anime character and things like that.
Again, not attending Japanese school, I did not know, but there is a 5,000 yen R2D2 here, and I kind of love it. And then this entire section here is all airsoft, or as it's called in Japan, survival game. And some of them are just so realistic. And then I instantly get sucked in by this Spider-Man stunt system. Absolutely no clue what it is, but for 3,300 yen... No, Norm, put it back. Just be an adult.
I used to have like whole set of these. It's
Oh.
like a little cooking thing, and you can actually pour some water and then like pretend cooking and whatnot. It's got the grill here, and it's got the pot.
And then all over here is like buildable model kits. Have you ever built a model?
I was wanting to try that.
Some of the more expensive ones here can range up to like 8,000 yen, but there are also much cheaper ones around 1,000 yen. This entire aisle here is toy cars, an absolute abundance of them. And because I recently learned how many train fans there are on the channel, this whole cabinet here is just model trains. Also just kind of impressive how much Kermit the Frog they've managed to gather. Sherry's playing with this thing over here. I am a full-grown adult and I kind of want this thing. This looks absolutely amazing. Okay, we're gonna slowly back away. First thrift store of the day got us off to a bit of a crazy start, but we're also in the Ameyoko market right now. And while we're gonna leave here almost immediately because we have so many more stores to hit, this market itself is kind of like its own weird little thrift store. Okay, maybe Ameyoko isn't exactly like a thrift store, but it definitely feels that cheap.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know a cheaper place in Tokyo to come and just get fresh bags of nuts and everything like that. 150 grams of almonds for 300 yen. And all these shoe stores that say sale, none of them are actual sales. It has been on sale since 2004. But you also will find places like this army surplus store. These are pretty common overseas. This is the only one that I know of in the area. There might be more, I've just never looked. And before, while we hit hard off and hobby off, now we're going to mode off, which is pretty much entirely all clothing.
It's expensive.
Yeah, that's... wow. Actually, wow, this one is even worse. Now, I typically skip all the fashion stuff, especially in the female section, but I guess that's the benefit to bringing Sherry with us today. We can take a look at this Gucci bag here for $2,000. And right near the entrance, they have obi and women's kimono and everything, and seemingly the prices aren't terrible either, providing that it's not too bad condition. I feel like Wade Wilson. So what'd you think of Modoff?
It's a little expensive.
Yeah, Ueno's not really the area to get used clothing. There are areas, I've done an entire breakdown of Tokyo by area for what you can buy where. I'll link that up above and in the end. But let's head for the area of Akihabara for our next set of thrift stores. I think there's at least 3, maybe 4 there. And this space right here under the tracks between Okachimachi and Akihabara, I think it's called the 2K540 space, is a neat little like artsy space, not a thrift store by any means. Our next one is going to be a used record store and used retro toy shop, and that's right around the corner. Just down that way is Akihabara Station, and this place is called Seek Base. And right as you go in on this side here, there's a store called RECOFAN, and right over here, there's Mandarake. So while we do a speed run of what they have to offer, why don't we give some love to this week's sponsor, NordVPN. You probably know NordVPN, you might even be using them, but in case you're new to VPNs and what they can do, the simplest explanation is that they can make your computer or device look like it is accessing the internet from, well, another country or location, which can be super helpful when you're looking to access content that may not be available in your country. But I personally use it for 2 main things. Number 1, anytime that I am on public Wi-Fi, whether it be in Tokyo or at an airport, the encryption helps keep your data safe, and without it, using public Wi-Fi is essentially like being in the wild, wild west. And number 2, not only when traveling, but when booking flights and hotels, because using the VPN to look like you are booking from within the country you are hoping to travel to can potentially yield cheaper results. I keep NordVPN on all of my devices, and if you want to give it a shot, you can use the link in the description box down below along with my code to give yourself a 2-year plan at a huge discount, as well as 4 extra months for free. The best part being that NordVPN has a 30-day money-back guarantee, meaning you can essentially try it risk-free. So give it a shot. Huge thanks to NordVPN, and that is the end of our sponsor role. So Sherry, did you find anything interesting?
This Mandarake place has a lot of really weird stuff.
Probably have to agree with you on that. Like, these guys don't look particularly healthy, and actually most of the stuff in this shop I don't recognize at all. Things like this stuff here, I literally have no clue what any of this is, like any of it at all.
I have a feeling that my brother had this one when he was little.
Well, it's worth 8,000 yen now. This RECOFAN is always one of my go-to recommendations for my friends when they come to Japan looking for used records. There's some incredible finds like the Maria Takeuchi. Look at that, we get the Plastic Love album right there. The only struggle being that price tag, but otherwise, there are so many J-pop albums available. But Sherry, it's also not just Japanese albums. Like, for example, you can get the Beatles albums here. Wow, that is that is even more expensive. Sometimes you can get incredible deals on the albums here. My buddy Noah came up and scooped up some like 20 to 30 different records. Good old Simon and Garfunkel. Noah walked around checking the eBay app for everything that he bought, and according to him, he got it for some 20% of what he would have bought it for back home. So either he's a really good shopper or this shop is just that good. This is Sherry and I walked out and somehow just came out for like a what is this, like a police convention? Like,
I don't know.
Why are they all here? Wow.
Too many cops.
I love how you look so nervous, like you've done something.
Didn't do anything.
I would say that too. Sherry, our next one is gonna be this hard off, hobby off combo here. They used to have a really good junk selection in the basement, and all of their retro gaming is right in the entrance, which is fantastic. That is the Pikachu game. Whoa, the Pikachu Game Boy is yeah. Place is kind of like Super Potato in the sense it's really good to browse, but there are way cheaper places to grab stuff from. Showing 10 quick seconds of Super Potato here for some perspective. As you can see, an absolutely amazing place, but I don't really see this as as much of a retro gaming shop as I do as a museum where you can come and look at things that are wonderful and then pay way more than they're worth to take them home with you should you really want to. Because of the location, all the retro game stuff here is really, really expensive. But that being said, once again, they do have a really good selection. They've got the Mega Drive, they've got the Dreamcast, they've got is that a limited edition Dreamcast? They've got the, wow, they have a PS5. Sherry, they've actually got the Color TV Game 6. They have an entire Blackmagic ATEM control pad. That is in good condition too. There's a whole section here just for watches as well as action cams. And then my absolutely beloved junk basement floor here. This one also, as you can see, has 3 floors, and I'm just waiting for Sherry to catch up. As you can see, this one is considerably smaller than the last one, but I just always like the stuff that I find in here. The junk bins especially will always just have something that you weren't expecting, like, there we go. The True Wireless Bluetooth Headset Pro 4.
Why not?
It's probably an empty box. You want to check? I've only got the one hand.
Oh, I hear something. Oh.
Yeah. Well, you get the cable for 550 yen.
Really?
Every remote control you get. This is probably the coolest remote control I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
Wow, it looks like a calculator.
My big question though is things like this. Like they have so many of this exact same flashlight. Did somebody just come in and bring these? Did they get them from a company? Like they're only 55 yen each. Or this old Panasonic landline, in case that's what you're in the market for. I don't know that much about VR, but I've been curious for a while. And these Vive, I have no idea how to pronounce it, are insanely cheap. Like just over 10,000 yen for that one, 20,000 yen for that one. I feel like I should just avoid the VR rabbit hole. That and 3D printing. And Sherry, I got your headphones there.
Thank you. Really? Is this like this giant? Well, it's got 2 pieces. And it comes in different colors.
So what in the world is this? Instant slide printer. If anybody knows what that is, drop it down below. Which floor do you want to go to next?
Hobby Off looks good.
Akihabara has so many of these like figurine stores that I always kind of skip the figures. I know that people are interested in it, so sorry for that. But if you're ever gonna run into me in Akihabara, it's probably gonna be up here in this exact Hobby Off, isn't it? I am
Probably.
always in here. First off, just coming into the toy section, you just feel like a kid. Again, I grew up with absolutely none of this, but I know what the pirate is. Have you ever played with the pirate?
Yeah, I have 1 or 2.
It's just like the best game ever.
Yeah.
If you don't know what it is, there's this pirate in a barrel and you put in these knives and he pops out. It's like Jenga, but with a pirate that flies. I don't think that was the best description, do you?
I was just like nodding along.
One of the things that makes this one so great is just the absolute variety. So again, you get all the models and all the car stuff. You get tons of train stuff in here, as well as more model cars and whatnot. But there's also a little secret to this Hobby Off that's not really that much of a secret, but I still like. You can actually open up this door right here and come through.
I thought it was like an emergency door.
Lately, there's just no Pokemon cards available in bulk in the Tokyo shops. But again, if you get out slightly outside of Tokyo, you'll find a lot more. But this is a great place to grab cards that you're missing or even build out a deck. Also just amazes me that they would have a Kizu Ari damaged Pikachu card for $2,000. At a random Hobby Off in Akihabara. I also weirdly get sucked in by all the little trinkets, again, which are labeled by color and whatnot. You wouldn't know it to look at her, but Sherry's actually a huge BB-8 fan.
Yeah.
Don't you actually have the remote control Sphero BB-8 toy?
Yeah, I do.
Also, right here behind the counter, they have all of the large airsoft guns and whatnot here, and yet I'm still drawn towards the multiple racks of little trinkets and mini stuff. Like the jet. I found a jet, Sherry. And then there's an entire music section here with all the pedals and guitars and everything, not too dissimilar to the last one, as well as l'oeuf musical, these right here, the musical eggs. Also, none of these thrift stores are sponsoring this video. It's just these are the ones that you're actually okay to record in.
Right.
And are not playing copyrighted music. Unlike the what was it? Close off? What was that? Mode off? Mode off. Close off. That's a different kind of store. I don't know if this fashion choice suits me. How do I look? I think actually kind of hurts. Well, that's it for this shop here. One of the nice things about being in Akihabara is just how many thrift and used stuff stores there are. Like, for example, this Surugaya here, first floor is for buybacks, but second floor is actually really cool. This entire second floor is games and cards and all of that. So if that's your jam, then this is the place to be. For example, this whole section over here is card games and board games, the likes of which most I've never seen before in my entire life. To be honest, I didn't even know that this many board games and whatnot existed. Also, how many versions of Monopoly do we really need? Like Monopoly Crazy Cash here.
I see you guys on YouTube.
No. Thank you so much for coming up to say hi.
No problem.
He was really nice.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. Thank you. The danger of a shop like this is that I could spend all day just going through the different games and walk away with more hobbies than I have time for. And then you get little shops like this, like PC Shop Icon. I would never remember the name, where you can just find the most random stuff. Like a barcode scanner, it's just a USB barcode scanner for 880 yen. Or just this bucket of old laptops. Now there are a lot of ways that you can repurpose a laptop screen or battery or something, but even little shops like this, they don't really count as thrift stores, but there's just so much in here that could be described as little else than thrift. Like these tiny 350 yen hard drives here, or the random PlayStation games for 200 yen. Also, have you noticed that we are in a race against time now?
Yeah.
There are at least 2 more shops that I want to hit before we wrap up, so let's keep going. Also, quick side note, Akibao is the place to go if you're looking for cheap junk that you could get on AliExpress that definitely isn't Japanese and will probably break within the same week. This Surugaya specialty store right here has always been one of my favorites. It has a ton of figures and anime goods and whatnot above. I almost never venture beyond the first floor on this one. There's usually a ton of junk right here in the front that is super cheap, like this little Epson printer here for 300 yen. That is a 300 yen printer. I found an iPad here once that actually works that only cost me 2,000 yen. And every now and then, I don't think they have them right now. They've got these here junk cut-in boxes. Last year, I got really lucky and I unboxed a whole bunch of these. I got an iPhone, I got iPad, and then people came after me to kind of test these out and didn't and got really upset in the comments. So don't trust those junk boxes. It turns out I personally just got really lucky. But also, once again, this entire section has changed as well. You can get iPods for like 2,500 yen. Look at this one. The actual, wow, that is an iPod Touch for the exact same price. All the good stuff here tends to be in the bins, and it looks like we're kind of outside of the lucky season, so let's head to our next place. One fair warning about this Surugaya shop though, while I have gotten lucky with stuff there a few times, as you saw in there with those other foreign customers, the staff there can be incredibly rude and borderline. I don't want to call it what it's not. Just don't expect good service from that place. They're not exactly happy to have customers for some reason. But right beside it, there is yet another hard off. But this one's a little bit of a specialty one. The second and third floor are almost entirely musical instruments and audio gear. So when I come to this hard off, I almost exclusively go to the junk section. And oh, what a junk section it is. Like this Mickey Mouse Blu-ray mate. You ever wanted to watch Mickey Mouse Blu-rays? Or like, look at these, like, the old Hitachi TVs. For some reason, there's an ocarina in there. have absolutely no clue why. And the old clear Game Boys, love those. Again, you get a bunch of the gaming stuff and DVDs right in the entrance. And then once again, for all of you looking for records, I have decorated an entire wall of my studio with records that I found right here at this particular hard off. Every now and then I just find these retro items like this here. I have no idea what it is. Portable cassette VTR. It's got, what was the little screen? Like, I have so many questions, and it's wrapped in beautiful leather, and I want it, and I have absolutely no use for it whatsoever. None. And I'm gonna slowly back away. There's a 9,000 yen 3D printer here. About a year or two ago, me and some buddies from the US found a super old iMac there, and it still worked and was amazing. And if you come to these buckets over here, you can get a ton of random PC parts like coolers. With this incredibly specific stick of 4GB DDR3 1600 RAM. Also, you gotta pay close attention with this place because, as you may have already noticed, they hide a lot of the good stuff right up here near the front. Like, they'll have an iPhone there, iPhone 8 for 6,000 yen. Or every now and then you'll find decent retro games hidden up here, as well as like iPods and all of this old tech, which is for some reason just hidden right up at the front counter, super cheap. And quite possibly one of my favorite products yet, the Logicool solar keyboard, because you know everybody brings their computer outside. Like, maybe if you're sitting by a window, you're okay.
Maybe.
And then almost right beside the hard off, there's another Mandarake, and it's got, I think all the good stuff in this store, to be honest, is all displayed in the window. They have a BB-8 down there, by the way. One of my favorites has always been the range of retro toys they have here. Like, they have a lot of the old McDonald's Happy Meal toys. I don't know if they had the same ones here in Japan, but a lot of them from North America back in the day. I don't recognize these, but they are absolutely amazing. But anytime I've ever tried to go into this Mandarake, it is so crowded inside that I never make it past the first floor. But did you have a favorite so far?
Yeah, I like the first part off that we went.
Yeah, honestly, it's 5 floors. It's pretty awesome. I think next time we're probably gonna need to get out of Tokyo and check out one of the really big places. But this is what's available just between the Ueno and Akihabara area. Once again, I'll link an entire playlist at the end of thrift store videos. Let me know what your favorite was, and we'll see you again
Real soon.
Actually, with the number of random items that I have collected in my YouTube studio, this space on its own has become a bit of a spectacle, not entirely unlike a thrift store, and may warrant a more detailed tour than anything we've done so far. If you're interested in seeing the whole space, let me know down below, and we'll see you again real soon.